Hi business owners, Chris Whelan here from Chris Whelan Coaching. Last week I spoke to you about whether you're busy, but in fact you being the system. And today I want to talk to you about something a little different, and that is actually not, you might think you need more staff, but actually what you need is a leadership layer. And this is in the same theme as of last week. It's following up from last week. You think you need another person, right? Another technician, another project manager, another admin person, because the pressure feels like a workload problem. You're overloaded, your inbox is full, you're approving invoices at night, you're answering questions that you feel shouldn't need your involvement. So you hire someone else, and for about 3 or 4 weeks it feels lighter. Someone else is handling things. You feel a sense of relief. You think, wow, great, that was the answer. But then slowly questions come back, decisions keep rooting upwards. Clients still want you, and problems escalate. And you find yourself saying something which I think is quite dangerous. It's just easier if I do it. If that sentence has come out of your mouth recently, then this video is absolutely for you. You don't have a capacity problem. You've got what I call a structure problem. Last week, as I say, we talked about you becoming the operating system of your business. This week, I want to look at why hiring simply hasn't solved it and won't solve it. Most SME business owners at the sort of $2 to $5 million revenue mark are structured like this. They've got an owner and then everyone else, right? And that's not a leadership architecture. That's what I call a dependency chain. There's no defined layer between the owner and the team where decisions live or should live. So every significant issue, pricing, delivery problems, client conflict, financial judgment, all of that flows upwards, right? Not because your team's bad, but because authority ultimately sits with you. Now, here's the key question. If a supervisor makes a call that costs the business, let's say $5,000, who truly absorbs that risk? If the answer is you, then escalations, obviously, it's logical, because structure always determines behavior, and your current structure rewards escalation. Let's break down what actually happens as businesses grow. At, let's say, $500,000 revenue, you can hold everything in your head, right? You can do it all yourself. At $1.5 million, you're stretched, but you're still across it. At 3 to 5 million, complexity starts multiplying. More jobs running simultaneously, more staff interactions, more client expectations, more financial movement, higher consequences if you make a mistake, higher consequences of error. So in the sense, you're living in the moment. You hire, right? But hiring without redefining the ownership simply adds more communication lines. It does not create leadership depth. Here's what's missing in most SMEs that I work with at that stage of their development. There's no clearly defined head of delivery with true authority, right? Number one. Number two, the commercial owner of pricing and margin is not clear. Financial discipline sits with the owner typically. That's not clear either. And there's a cultural performance lead that sits in people's heads. So instead of all of those things existing, you have supervisors. Now, supervision is not leadership. Supervision checks work. Leadership owns outcomes, right? So you go back to those things, there's no ownership of outcomes. And when no one truly owns the outcomes below your level, below the owner level, ambiguity creeps in. And the reality is ambiguity always escalates. Now, here's the, if you like, uncomfortable layer. You may say you want your team to take initiative, but when they do, and it's not exactly how you would do it, what happens? Do you back it fully, right? Or do you adjust it, refine it, improve it? Even subtle overrides teach something very, very powerful, and that is that big calls get reviewed. Risk sits at the top. Authority concentrates upwards. So, intelligent people rationally respond and they escalate. Because escalation is much safer than exposure. Your team is responding rationally to the incentives that your structure creates. Without a leadership layer, several things happen quietly. First, you remain reactive. You feel busy, but strategic progress slows down. Second, decision speed reduces. Everything waits for your input. And third, team consequence stagnates. If nobody truly owns the outcomes, initiative is going to disappear, right? And then fourth, and this is absolutely critical, your growth ceiling lowers. At $2 to $3 million, it feels like overload. At $5 to $10 million, it becomes structural paralysis because you cannot compound personal judgment indefinitely. Eventually, margin depends on your involvement. Quality depends on your oversight. Revenue depends on your energy, right? And here's the commercial reality most owners avoid. If your business depends on your decision-making presence, its valuation is quite simply suppressed. Buyers do not pay premium multiples for owner-dependent structures. They discount them. Because if you step away and performance drops, they're not buying a system, they're buying you. And you're not transferable. So, look, what changes this? Not more hiring, not longer hours, not pushing harder. The shift is absolutely structural. You must install a leadership layer, and that means clear decision rights, written, understood, enforced. Defined ownership of delivery. Someone truly owns execution. Defined ownership of sales and margin. Financial visibility at the leadership level. A disciplined reporting cadence. Authority and accountability aligned at the same level. The leadership layer means this. Problems are solved at the lowest competent level. Decisions move downward. Reporting moves upward. And when that happens, escalation reduces. Confidence grows. Your involvement becomes strategic instead of reactive. Growth then regains momentum. And here's the mindset shift. You don't scale by becoming more important. You scale by becoming less operationally necessary. Now next week I'll show you why promoting someone into the quote-unquote manager without redefining authority often makes this worse, and how to build genuine leadership depth instead of just delegated supervision. If some of this feels familiar, you're not broken. You're in a predictable stage of business. But that stages only change when structure changes. Liz, have a strong week. Grab some time in my diary if you want to. Let's chat next week. All the very best. Cheers.